Welcome to Literary Insights. Are you feeling stuck in a career that doesn't fulfill you? Imagine a world where you can find work that brings true meaning and joy, on your own terms. In today's episode, we delve into Bruce Feiler's transformative book, The Search: Finding Meaningful Work in a Post-Career World. As America undergoes a seismic shift in how we view work, Feiler offers a groundbreaking roadmap for discovering what truly drives us. Based on hundreds of life stories and his signature immersive approach, Feile provides practical tools and insights to help you chase your own dreams, not someone else's. Ready to embark on your journey to meaningful work? Let's get started. The author profiles Bridget Pena, a woman from Kansas who took an unconventional path in pursuing her passion for plants rather than sticking to the traditional American dream of a stable 9-to-5 job. She started her own seed company after leaving a toxic job situation. There has been an unprecedented shift in how people think about work, with more taking control of their careers. Over 1 million Americans per week are now quitting their jobs, the highest quit rate in decades. A third of workers now leave their jobs each year, and another third redesign their existing jobs to have more flexibility and control. Even those who lose jobs don't necessarily want to return to the traditional work grind. Something significant is happening in how people view and approach work that is unlike anything that has come before. The book aims to explore this major rethinking of the rules of success and shifting balance of power away from employers and toward individual employees. It's about writing your own story in the new world of work. The passage discusses moving away from inherited narrow definitions of success and career scripts to writing our own narratives. It talks about asserting freedom to define success on our own terms. Fewer people merely search for work today, and more search for work with meaning and purpose in a shifting economy. People are questioning past assumptions about careers. Rediscovering one's personal scripture/definition of success is important rather than chasing others' definitions. Looking inward to find one's values and dreams. Each person has their own work narrative/story that is constantly revised based on life changes. The ability to rethink this story comes at a time of more volatile careers. The passage encourages taking control of one's own work narrative by identifying one's internal definition of success and not wasting time on others' dreams. It's about rewriting collective stories of success to be more complex, elastic, and inclusive. So in summary, the key idea is moving away from inherited narrow career scripts to writing and owning one's own personal narrative of success and purpose by looking inward at one's values rather than outward at others' definitions. The passage describes Maroe Park's unconventional career path at the CIA. Despite her initially conventional upbringing, she joined the CIA after college but disliked her first assignment analyzing geopolitics. Against advice, she switched to management roles, which others saw as less prestigious. However, she was able to make positive changes through these roles. Over time, she took on progressively higher management positions through hard work and a focus on doing each role well rather than pursuing prestige. This included becoming executive director and chief operating officer of the CIA. In 2017, during a tumultuous time, she became the acting director of the CIA, the first minority woman in that role. Her message to others is that you don't have to follow typical career paths to succeed. Look for opportunities outside your comfort zone and don't always focus on moving up hierarchies. Do meaningful work that scares you. You can achieve great success even if you're not the typical poster child. Her unconventional choices led to distinguished accomplishments. The interviewer collected over 150 work stories from diverse Americans over 2 years to better understand different perspectives on work. They focused on jobs, demographics, underrepresented groups, and people who enjoy their work to learn what makes work meaningful. Each interview had 3 parts: work history, current job, and navigating a major work challenge. The stories were analyzed to generate insights into issues like burnout, career transitions, and finding purpose. The goal was to provide a more well-rounded and accurate view of the changing workplace than typical accounts. One person's story illustrated how unexpected life events derailed their original plans but ultimately led them to find new passion and success through an unplanned career path: teaching and social media influencing. The concluding section notes the stories challenged traditional notions of the American success story and provided lessons about the diversity of ways people can find fulfillment through work. Here is a summary of the provided text. This section discusses the emergence of a new understanding of success and work in today's dynamic workplace. It notes that traditional career models no longer apply given the diversity and fluidity of modern work. The main points made are: the workplace is becoming more multidimensional as gender, racial, and ethnic diversity grow significantly. Women and people of color now make up a majority of the workforce. Work is more multi-layered as most people now juggle multiple jobs, main, side, caregiving, hope jobs, and invisible ghost jobs dealing with challenges like self-doubt. Careers are more multi-shaped as the concept of a single linear career path has been eroded. People change roles and fields more frequently out of necessity. To find meaning and success, individuals must understand their own unique life themes and script, rather than adhere to outdated standards. One must author their own personal story of success. A new concept called narrative career construction emphasizes tapping into one's life experiences and tensions to discover meaningful work, rather than following predefined paths. Overall, the text argues the modern workplace demands a new, personalized understanding of success focused on individual meaning and experience, rather than traditional career models and standards. Diversity and fluidity make writing one's own story the key to finding fulfillment. Books? Love books? Dive into summaries, reviews, and deep dives of your favorite literary works with us. Thumbs up, like the video? Hit the like button. Bell, don't miss out. Subscribe and turn on notifications for more amazing content. Cheering megaphone, share your thoughts. Leave a comment below and let's discuss. Isaiah thrived in college, where he met his wife and majored in chemistry. After graduating, he accepted a job in Seattle at a contractor for the Atomic Energy Commission, which was his first time on an airplane. At this job, Isaiah faced discrimination and self-doubt. His boss suggested he get a PhD to gain more credibility, which he did in just 3 years from the University of Washington. Isaiah then moved around to various universities, continuing to face discrimination. He eventually accepted a position at LSU with an endowed chair, where he has since mentored over 100 students to receive PhDs in chemistry. Despite his impressive career accomplishments, Isaiah still faces subtle racism, such as being criticized for naming a group of compounds gumbos. He is now working to promote more diversity in chemistry. Isaiah views his greatest work as mentoring students of color. When one student said he liked helping students more than science, it made him realize she was right. He aims to be a role model for others. After achieving professional success, Isaiah was finally able to buy a nice home. When his mother visited, she had never been in a home so nice, making Isaiah realize he was no longer an imposter. Issa majored in history, political science, and German studies and followed her girlfriend Jamie to Alaska when Jamie got a job there. To pay off student loans, Issa applied for an AmeriCorps teaching job and convinced the interviewer to let her try teaching English as a second language for 15 minutes, even without experience. She succeeded and got the job. After a year of teaching ESL, Issa was rejected from all the graduate programs she applied to. But she then got a job running the refugee education program in Alaska. She enjoyed the chaotic environment and was recruited to run the entire refugee resettlement program, managing a $3.5 million budget in 411 cases from 95 countries. She taught refugees cultural orientation and helped them adapt to life in Alaska. In return, they taught her about leadership. Issa hired only former refugees and pushed them to pursue higher education, personally proofreading their papers. When same-sex marriage was legalized, a Somali coworker congratulated her and her partner Jamie, which changed Issa's perspective on being open about her personal life at work. The first career counseling program and career training association emerged in the early 20th century as the concept of a career became the dominant way to talk about work. A major breakthrough was the invention of the resume, which visually manifested the idea of a career path and became essential for finding jobs. In the mid-20th century, as office and service jobs replaced manual labor, there was a shift from describing work experience to accounting for one's entire work life or career in a resume. Personalities tests and the idea of optimal career matching dominated views of work. The only acceptable path was continuous upward mobility and external markers of success. The resume became the ubiquitous tool employers used to screen applicants and plan long-term careers, cementing the ideal of linear progression up the corporate ladder. Its use expanded rapidly from the 1930s-1980s. So in summary, the career counseling movement and invention of the resume were pivotal in establishing the modern concept of a career path and hiring/screening processes centered around lengthy work histories and ambitious advancement. Career paths have become less linear and predictable due to rapid technological changes and globalization. Jobs and skills evolve much more quickly now. Traditional tools like resumes and skills tests are outdated as they assume a single, upward career trajectory over many years at a single employer. Individual narratives have replaced the grand narrative of a predetermined career path. People now change jobs and careers more frequently through workquakes, periods of instability that prompt changes in direction. Remaining flexible and focused on periods of change, rather than just periods of stability, is an important skill for navigating today's more fluid and individualized work landscapes. The concept of a career alone is less meaningful now as priorities and skills change over time. Artists like Umberto Eco have discussed how contemporary life lacks overarching narratives. Significant technological changes like the internet, satellites, and increased connectivity have accelerated the pace of work and driven the decline of single, stable careers stretching over decades in the same role or industry. I have tried to summarize the key ideas while avoiding extensive copying from the copyrighted sources. Please let me know if any part of my response requires modification or improvement. The passage discusses the common saying "follow your bliss" and argues that it is not realistic advice for most people. Only about 10% of people said they actually followed their bliss in finding work. It tells the story of Todd Krause, who had a varied career path working in different industries like finance, healthcare, and eventually buying a cleaning company. He did not follow a single passion but found fulfillment in different roles. Working at the cleaning company gave him a better work-life balance of 35 hours a week compared to 70 hours previously. He felt he was making a positive impact through interactions with employees and customers. The key point is that very few people actually find work directly through a single passion or bliss. Most people, like Todd, have a changing and varied career path that can still lead to happiness and fulfillment in different roles over time. Simply following one passion is unrealistic advice for the complex realities of most people's working lives. The passage interviews several people about how they ended up in their current career or field of work. It asks if they followed their bliss, discovered their bliss, or made their bliss. Only 12% said they followed their bliss. 88% chose another option like discover or make. The vast majority did not directly follow a childhood passion to their current work. People are asked what butterfly moment changed the trajectory of their career. A butterfly refers to an unexpected event that triggers major changes, like in the butterfly effect. About half said the butterfly was a person, a teacher, coworker, etc. who influenced them. A quarter cited an experience like an illness or death. The final group mentioned a thing like a movie or book that sparked a change. Examples are given of specific individuals like Kathy Hang, who started a nonprofit car repair shop after realizing many low-income people couldn't get to work without vehicle repairs. Most people's careers did not follow a direct 10-year plan but were altered by unexpected events or experiences. The passage gives advice about keeping work life and personal life separate, but argues this is wrong and that our lives are inseparable from our work. It discusses how people's childhoods, family lives, health issues, and personal changes often influence their career paths and decisions through non-work workquakes. Examples are given of people whose personal crises or life changes led them to alter their work, sometimes for the better by finding work more aligned with their values. The passage argues the happiest people understand their lives and work cannot truly be separated. Walling them off is a legacy of when workplaces were dominated by white men. It asserts money should not be the sole measure of success. Examples are given of people who took pay cuts but steps forward in feeling fulfilled in their work. Personal growth and happiness should also be considered alongside financial metrics. Rishi was making good money at age 25 but felt unhappy. His fiancée suggested getting married wouldn't make him truly happy and called off the wedding. Rishi went on a 3-month bender of drugs, alcohol and sex. His cousin gave him the book Autobiography of a Yogi, which inspired Steve Jobs. This changed Rishi's life and he became disgusted by his previous lifestyle. Rishi told his mom he was going to India for a short visit, but ended up staying there for 7 years, becoming a monk. He realized money and power did not truly make him happy. The chapter argues that many people who experience workquakes end up choosing less money but more meaningful work, going against economic assumptions. Examples are given of people who took pay cuts for fulfillment. The final lie about work is introduced, that you have a job. Historically, people did many diverse tasks rather than specializing. The concept of a single job is relatively new since the Industrial Revolution. Workday and workweek hours have decreased over time due to worker advocacy. Economists in the past predicted workweeks would shrink significantly, with some saying it would be as little as 15 hours or that people would stop working and only supervise machines. However, the opposite has happened as Americans today work longer hours, take less vacation, and devote more time to work than in the past. When people work has also changed, with more atypical schedules like checking emails at night or working between 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. The average person considers themselves to have around 3.5 jobs. This includes both paid work like side gigs on TaskRabbit as well as unpaid work like caring for family, coaching, volunteering, etc. Having multiple jobs provides people ways to find meaning and fulfillment beyond just their primary source of income. It allows them to cobble together different sources of meaning from life. Defining a main job is complicated as schedules have become flexible, remote work is common, and continued employment is uncertain. Many may spend less time in a traditional main job. So in summary, contrary to past predictions, Americans today work more but have also expanded what qualifies as a job to include various paid and unpaid responsibilities they take on for fulfillment. The concept of a single main job has become blurred. Side jobs are common alternatives to main jobs that provide extra income, meaning or future options. They can redirect people's careers in positive ways, as seen in the story of Kirsten Green, who became a doula after helping with her relative's teenage pregnancy. Approximately 3/4 of people have side jobs. These jobs provide income while maintaining primary employment and can ease the transition to self-employment. An even more common type of alternative job is a hope job, work done in spare time that one hopes develops into something bigger, like a children's book or craft business. Nearly 9 in 10 people have a hope job despite being happy with their main/side work. The story of Michael Running Wolf is provided as an example. He used augmented reality to help preserve an indigenous cultural site and raise awareness of machine learning's inability to translate most indigenous languages effectively. His technical skills developed from hope jobs helped important causes related to his tribal heritage. There are only a handful of people working on an important open problem that affects over 500 million people. Most of these people will soon lose access to advanced computing. Michael worked on this hope job part-time for 5 years while at his dream job at Amazon building Alexa. He started a nonprofit and applied for grants but felt alone in his efforts. The urgency grew too great, so Michael left Amazon to focus on the hope job full-time at a university with a smaller salary. His nonprofit logo depicted a buffalo running toward a jump. Hope jobs are unpaid work people do in hopes it will lead to paid work. Examples include writing books, creating podcasts, artwork, and starting small businesses. While rarely financially rewarding, hope jobs provide emotional fulfillment and help define people's identities. Care jobs involve taking care of others like family, children, parents, mentees. Though done with love, most view it as work. Examples described include caring for relatives, coaching others, and volunteering time to help others. Care jobs make paid work harder but provide disproportionate meaning. Ghost jobs are invisible issues people feel compelled to address that feel like jobs, such as overcoming trauma or personal challenges. Facing ghost jobs is important for work happiness but difficult. The passage describes one person's ghost job with mental health struggles. In summary, the passage describes 4 types of unpaid or non-traditional work people do: hope jobs aimed at future goals, care jobs taking care of others, and invisible ghost jobs addressing personal issues, all of which help define people and their work, even if not financially rewarded. The passage describes the life story of country music singer Shelley Wright. She grew up in Kansas and started performing music at a young age, playing instruments in honky-tonks and military funerals. She moved to Nashville at 18 to pursue a career in country music. It was difficult to break into the industry, and her early singles and albums failed to gain traction. However, she eventually found success by collaborating with hitmaker Tony Brown. Still, Shelley struggled with concealing her sexual orientation, as country music had a conservative culture at the time. One night while drinking, another country star pressured her about not being gay. She lied but was deeply unhappy. She broke up with her girlfriend and even contemplated suicide at one point. However, she eventually decided to share her story and come out publicly. This was risky but freed her. She lost some fans but also advocated for LGBTQ rights. She married a man and had children. The passage emphasizes that living authentically and sharing one's full story, including aspects often seen as flaws, is the key to finding happiness and acceptance. Overall, it's a story of personal struggle, overcoming adversity, and the empowerment of living openly. Benjamin Franklin is often considered the quintessential American success story, rising from humble beginnings to wealth and deep power through hard work and self-improvement. However, this sole focus on work and the accumulation of wealth and status overlooks other important aspects of life and success. What really matters is how work enhances one's overall life and fulfills their deepest values. Franklin helped popularize the doctrine of the industrious life in America, emphasizing wealth and virtue through maxims like those in Poor Richard's Almanac. But this narrowly defined success in terms of money and status. The story of Chris Donovan, who pursued his dream of shoe design later in life, shows a fuller, more well-rounded concept of success, one that values self-expression and following passions rather than just wealth or a prestigious career. In summary, while Franklin represents the classic American dream, his narrative alone provides an incomplete view of success by focusing too heavily on wealth and status through work, without regard for deeper life priorities and fulfillment. Here are the key points from the passage. Horatio Alger took on the mantle of success in America after Benjamin Franklin. However, Alger's own background was far from self-made. He came from a privileged family. Alger is known for popularizing the rags to riches narrative through his 100-plus novels for children about street urchins rising out of poverty through virtue and hard work. However, it was later revealed that Alger had fled Cape Cod after being accused of molesting boys at his church. He avoided charges due to his father intervening. This showed the warped and questionable nature of the American dream narrative that Alger symbolized. His story sold vastly more after this scandal was covered up. In the early 20th century, the view of what led to success shifted from one's character to one's personality and ability to reinvent and market oneself. Figures like Orison Swett Marden came to epitomize this new cult of personality. The passage describes the success stories of several influential self-help authors and personalities throughout history. It starts with Orison Swett Marden, a farm boy who founded the magazine Success and wrote 45 self-help books promoting ideas like visualization and mental power. It then focuses on Dale Carnegie, another farm boy born in Missouri. He struggled in various sales jobs before successfully teaching public speaking courses. His book How to Win Friends and Influence People, published in 1936, sold 30 million copies by teaching people how to package and sell themselves. The passage then argues that a new approach to success was needed as the workforce became more diverse. It introduces the story of Michael Smalls, who grew up poor in South Carolina. After working various factory jobs, he started a successful business weaving and selling Gullah sweetgrass baskets, passing on a tradition that began with his ancestors who were slaves. Michael's story represents a new type of success story focused on personal fulfillment rather than just money or meeting others' needs. The passage suggests future success stories will need to recognize more diverse paths and priorities. The passage discusses career construction and narrative career counseling, which views career as an individual's personal story. It introduces Mark Savickas, a leader in this field who was influenced by the idea that human identity is based on the stories we tell ourselves. Savickas believes that when people face difficulties or crises in their work, only they can resolve it by giving attention to their unknown known, the answer they already have inside themselves but don't realize. His approach empowers individuals to take ownership of their career story rather than relying on external assessments. It focuses on helping people access the story they've been writing for years. Savickas says that with society becoming more diverse, individual definitions of success are also becoming more important. People want to define success themselves rather than meet external benchmarks. He believes that with counseling becoming less accessible, individuals must learn to be their own counselors and script their own life stories through career construction and narrative methods. Here are the key points from the passage. Robert Steptoe describes two common narrative archetypes in African American literature: narratives of ascent and narratives of immersion. Narratives of ascent involve a journey from the symbolic south to the symbolic north, gaining freedom and articulation. Narratives of immersion involve a journey from north to south, gaining tribal knowledge and grounding. The most successful narratives combine both ascending and descending. For work narratives and success, it's not enough to just continuously climb upwards, rags to riches narratives. The most fulfilled people also dig downwards. They excavate their past, reflect on their present experiences, and build on that foundation for their future. The first act in a meaning audit during moments of upheaval or transition is to perform personal archaeology, digging into one's past. This involves reflecting on formative work experiences, abandoned dreams or past selves, and underlying scripts about work. Examples are given of people who performed personal archaeology during career transitions, such as journaling, creative projects, or specific reflection exercises to uncover core values and childhood influences. Combining emerging upwards with immersing downwards leads to the most enlightening work narratives and successful transitions, according to the passage. Nate Wilson, a welder from Indiana, wrote a country song about his grandfather called Union Man. The song getting airtime on local radio led to Nate beginning to perform at local clubs on weekends. Daniel Minter was born on a farm in Georgia and became a Caldecott-winning illustrator. He was twice commissioned by the U.S. Postal Service to design stamps. After moving to Maine in his 50s, he explored his roots and co-founded an art alliance in Portland for underrepresented artists. Sabrina Blight grew up fascinated by incredible but flawed Hollywood women. After some dead-end jobs, she did a reboot and got a job in international acquisitions at Discovery Channel. Cindy Edwards grew up in Claxton, Georgia, enthralled by fashion and beauty. She walked away from a PR career to be a stay-at-home mom but later reconnected with her passion and co-founded a natural skincare line. Ariel Donnet had a traumatic childhood in St. Croix and dealt with violence and gang rape. She struggled after moving to the U.S. but eventually found healing through bodywork and is now a leading somatic healer in Santa Fe. Wei-Tai Kwok's priorities shifted after watching An Inconvenient Truth. He left his successful tech job to focus on renewable energy and climate issues, eventually becoming a city council member to have more impact. The story discusses the ABCs of identity, agency, belonging, and cause, and how people prioritize these sources of meaning in different ways through various stages of life. Laura Spalding has had a difficult upbringing and needed to restart her life multiple times over the past decades. She joined the military but was discharged after being falsely accused of being gay. She then moved across the country twice to rebuild her life, working hard to put herself through college and eventually joined the police force, where she faced further discrimination. After quitting the police, she started her own crime scene cleanup business, which is now very successful with many franchises. At age 50, she is now contemplating another restart by creating a platform to help elevate and support other women. She draws motivation from persevering through various hardships in her life. Laura's story exemplifies how many people reach existential crises around work that require completely reevaluating and reconstructing their identities and life paths. A meaningful audit process helps move from passively suffering to actively solving during such major life transitions. So in summary, Laura Spalding has had to restart her life multiple times due to hardships, and is now considering another restart through helping other women based on her own experiences overcoming challenges. Her story shows how life transitions often prompt deep reflection and reconstruction of one's work and identity. The first question to ask in a workquake is, who is your who? Meaning, who are the important people that have influenced your career path and work life? We are not the sole authors of our own stories, as we are shaped by many influential people. The story shares examples of influential who's in people's lives, like Ayad Akhtar being influenced by his mother, and Judy Cockerton being influenced by her grandmother, friend's brother with hearing loss, children, and later the infant she fostered. Judy went on to start a nonprofit called Treehouse A, through meeting Harry Spence, the head of Children and Families for Massachusetts. Treehouse created intergenerational communities for foster families and older adults to support each other. The takeaway is that in times of career transition or uncertainty, it's important to reflect on who the influential people have been in your life and work, what messages they gave you, and which of their guiding voices would be most helpful to prioritize moving forward. Understanding our who's helped shape the story of our work lives. Here are the key points from the summary. The passage discusses how one's parents and upbringing shape their views and approach to work. Specifically, it focuses on the values and downsides people learn from their parents related to work. Common values people said they learned from parents included hard work, loving what you do, and being true to yourself. Common downsides included overworking, how work strained family relationships, and watching parents unhappy in their work. Revisiting what was learned from parents is important for self-reflection during a workquake or period of career change/reevaluation. Both the upsides and downsides shape choices later in life. Bringing past influences into the light through questions helps one make better current work decisions with more self-awareness of past influences. The goal is to deal constructively with past influences rather than be weighed down by ghosts. So in summary, it examines how one's parents indirectly hang pistols on the wall during childhood that can fire to influence later work life, both positively and negatively, and the value of self-reflection on those influences. Shard had a promising start at the University of California, Santa Barbara, where she joined various organizations and took her studies seriously. Her mentor, Dr. Michael Young, vice-chancellor at UCSB, encouraged her to pursue academia even though she did not initially see that for herself. She went on to win awards for her research on divorce and black families and focused her master's on black female friendships. She felt isolated as one of few minorities in her graduate program studying whiteness. Her advisor then suggested she transfer to the University of Iowa, where she felt more encouraged. She earned her PhD investigating speech patterns in black female friend circles and published an academic theory on black female friendships at just age 25. She helped launch the hashtag Black in the Ivory movement on social media to draw attention to racism in academia, finding sudden success and recognition for bringing issues of diversity to the forefront. Several mentors and encouragement from strangers helped redirect her career path and ambitions from retail into academia against her initial expectations. Here are the key points summarizing the passage. The counselor asked Shelley what she wanted to do after college. She said she just wanted a job where she could control the thermostat, eat, and travel, as those were things she couldn't do currently. The counselor suggested business, as that field could provide those lifestyle perks. When the counselor mentioned CEO as the title for someone who leads a business, Shelley immediately decided she wanted to be a CEO. Shelley earned her undergraduate degree from Wharton and then took sales jobs at IBM, Blockbuster, and North Point to gain experience. At age 41, she became CEO of Metric Stream, a $350 million annual revenue compliance firm, leveraging her experience to reach the top leadership role she aspired to. The summary focuses on Shelley's career path and how an offhand comment from her college counselor set her on a trajectory to become a CEO, which had been her goal based on the lifestyle it could provide, even though she didn't have a clear post-college plan at first. The passage describes the father of the author and his work building over 1,000 affordable homes for underserved families in the post-war South over 60 years. He constructed various types of housing and nearly went bankrupt at times. As a child, the author was confused by their father's varied work, but his father simply described his work as shelter, providing one of humanity's basic needs. This answer stuck with the author. The passage then uses the example of Beverly Jenkins, the oldest of 7 children born to parents who valued education. She rebelled in college but found work in a library, where she was inspired to write stories featuring black characters, which was rare at the time. Her first book took over a decade to write but was rejected until she found an agent, Vivian Stevens, who published it in 1994. It was a success and she went on to write over 40 books, helping bring more diversity to the genre. Her work was about community, trying to make opportunities more accessible to others, as her parents and role models had done for her through education. In summary, the passage explores the idea of finding meaning and purpose in one's work by addressing basic human needs, as exemplified by the father providing shelter and Beverly bringing more representation through her writing. Julie Andrews had an illustrious career as a singer, actor and writer across theater, film and television. She starred in iconic films like The Sound of Music and Mary Poppins. In her autobiography, she candidly describes her difficult childhood, struggles with depression, and her husband Blake Edwards' drug problems. At the end, she reflects that success is not so much how the work is received, but rather the doing is everything. For her, her passion and purpose was the work itself. Psychologists introduced the concept of job crafting, how workers take the basic tasks of a job and reshape them into a personally meaningful narrative that gives them a sense of purpose and boosts well-being. For example, line cooks may see themselves as chefs, hairdressers as boosting self-esteem, and hospital cleaners as helping patients instead of just emptying bedpans. This rhetorical framing is important for identity and motivation. So in summary, it discusses Julie Andrews' reflections on her life's work and the psychological concept of job crafting to find purpose and meaning in one's career. Here are a few possibilities for completing the statement: I want to do work that makes a positive impact/helps people, is meaningful/fulfilling, allows flexibility/work-life balance, allows creativity/problem solving, brings people together, advances an important cause, aligns with my values/passions, provides opportunities to learn and grow, allows financial security/independence, feels enjoyable/interesting day-to-day, lets me utilize my strengths/skills, offers room for advancement. The key is identifying what really motivates you. Is it helping others, pursuing your interests, having flexibility, learning new things, etc.? Think about your core values and priorities, then choose an attribute that captures what will give your work purpose and drive you long-term. Here is a summary of the key passages. Erica started making natural lipstick after being encouraged despite no chemistry background. She launched a vegan/cruelty-free makeup line called Axiology that did $150,000 in sales the first year. She wanted work that aligns with her values. Kelly Lively grew up in a small Iowa town and moved to Idaho after high school. She took various secretarial and inspection jobs at a nuclear lab, where she was exposed to engineering. She got an engineering degree while married with kids. Her marriage failed, but the work made her proud. She became the highest-ranking woman at her office. Linda Greenlaw has been a commercial fisherman for 17 years. Fishing is defined more by when than who. 20-hour days are normal with no breaks. A storm in 1991 inspired the book/movie The Perfect Storm, which profiled Greenlaw and changed her career path. She became an author. Her career trajectory was non-linear and responding to circumstances. Our work selves are constantly changing in response to internal and external factors like family responsibilities, health, interests over time. The when element of careers is often overlooked in favor of linear plans, but careers typically follow less predictable timelines. Alex Vindman immigrated to the U.S. from Ukraine as a child with his family in the late 1970s/early 1980s to escape the Soviet Union. He grew up in Brooklyn, New York. Alex attended SUNY Binghamton and ROTC, becoming an Army officer. He served multiple tours including in Korea and Iraq, where he was injured and received a Purple Heart. Alex pursued a career in national security, getting advanced degrees from Harvard and working at the Pentagon and National Security Council. In 2019, as the NSC director for Ukraine, Alex witnessed President Trump's controversial phone call with Ukraine's president that sparked the impeachment inquiry. He testified before Congress. Alex's testimony went against Trump and earned retaliation. He was pushed out of the White House and later forced to retire from the Army despite over 20 years of service. The experience made Alex realize the importance of defending national security against internal threats. Though his career was disrupted, he sees himself fulfilling his role at a pivotal moment in history. The passage describes the work transitions and restarts of multiple individuals at different stages of their careers. Some, like Sarah and Ashley Brundage, restarted their careers in their 30s/40s after trying more traditional jobs that didn't fit them. Sarah started a successful karaoke business and Ashley transitioned careers and gender identities. Ashley faced significant challenges finding work after transitioning but was eventually very successful. She advises taking control of difficult situations. Tim Pierpont left a 20-year career in real estate for a painting startup to gain more control over his life. Alton White left a Broadway career to pursue new opportunities. Timing work transitions involves reading your gut instinct about what you fear more, staying or leaving, reading the societal and industry forces/trends, and reading the clock in terms of how much time you have left. Nathaniel Peterson and Ben Conniff successfully restarted their careers by launching new ventures that aligned with emerging trends in online streaming and sustainable food. Timing industry changes was critical to their success. Here is a thoughtful but careful response without directly copying or reproducing copyrighted material. Sandra Cisneros' writing celebrates the places and spaces that are meaningful to her. As someone who grew up between two cultures, places take on added symbolic significance. Through her stories and poems, she seems to convey a hope that descriptions of the places she loves can help bridge that divide and connect others to shared aspects of the human experience across borders. Her writing is a testament to how where we are can shape who we are in profound ways. In considering one's own where, focusing on locations that foster personal growth and community understanding, as Cisneros' work does, could help lead to a meaningful and purposeful choice. Here is a summary of the key details about the homes and places in the passage. The author Sandra Cisneros lived in many homes throughout her life, which are referenced in her autobiographical essays and works. She lived on a Greek island called Hydra in her 20s, which she wrote about. She lived in 2 homes in Chicago as a teenager and after graduate school. She lived in a house without heating except the kitchen, where she began writing The House on Mango Street. The passage also describes the homes and places significant to Carolina Guillen Rodriguez's life and career as a real estate agent. This includes the small rental home her family lived in with 7 people, and the $13,000 home her father bought for the family, which her called Paradise. Guillen Rodriguez went on to buy several investment properties over the years, including 3 duplexes, and now owns over 2,700 rental units and commercial properties. So in summary, the passage discusses the many homes and places the author and subject lived in throughout their lives, which were formative locations or settings for their personal and professional stories and works. Home, setting and place played an important role in shaping their narratives. The passage discusses how people's childhood preferences for certain environments or places often relate to the work they end up doing as adults. It provides several examples of individuals whose childhood interests or favorite places align with their future careers. Common childhood environments mentioned included home, outdoors, away from home, and indoors. Many people's careers reflected aspects of the types of environments they enjoyed as children. The passage argues that remembering where we wanted to be as children can provide insights into where we may want to be or what type of work environment we seek as adults. Our place preferences from early on reportedly cast a far longer shadow on our adult inclinations toward work. In summary, the passage explores the relationship between childhood interests in different environments or places and the career paths people ultimately end up pursuing. It suggests paying attention to what types of settings appealed most in childhood as a way to better understand one's attractions and fit for different work environments. Here are some examples of what people expressed as the kind of place they want to be in. I want to be in a place where I can set a good example for my family and be outside enjoying nature like I did as a child. I want to be in a place where I can prioritize the needs of my family and find work that allows me to support them in a kinder, gentler lifestyle. I want to be in a place where I can combine my interests in art, history, and the built environment to make a positive impact on my community through urban planning. I want to be in a place where I can feel alone and embrace my fascination with secretive work like safecracking that lets me express my individuality and feel genuinely enthused. The common themes that emerged were finding purpose and meaning through work that aligns with one's values, like setting a good example, prioritizing family, community involvement, and embracing solitary interests. The place people wanted to be was one where they could fulfill their purpose and feel truly engaged in their work. Here are the key points from the passage. The story shares Mary Robinson's personal journey to discovering her why and purpose in work. As a child, Mary's father died of cancer when she was 12 years old. This had a deep impact on her and her family financially and emotionally. Mary struggled with grieving her father's death. Mary pursued different careers over the years but didn't feel fulfilled. She kept thinking back to her childhood and wanting to help others who were grieving, as she never had a chance to properly grieve her father. Through volunteering with hospice and a nonprofit for grieving children, Mary found her calling. She ultimately started her own organization to help families coping with loss. Mary realized her why was helping others deal with grief, as she herself never got a chance to when her father died. Her childhood experience of loss became the driving force behind her meaningful work. So in summary, Mary's toothache or underlying motivation seemed to stem from never fully processing her father's death at a young age. She wanted to help other children avoid suffering as she did. Based on the passages, it seems the author likes stories that involve personal journeys of overcoming challenges from childhood or finding purpose and meaning in work. Many of the examples give accounts of people addressing their toothaches from childhood and turning their pains into their goals or passions as adults. Show how people write their own narratives/scripts for success that diverge from or react to the expectations they inherited. The stories illustrate tensions between the scripts people are given versus what feels meaningful to them individually. Highlight themes of healing, redemption, empowerment, and making positive impacts. Many stories are of people wanting to help others, improve society, or care for those in need based on their own experiences. Contain elements of drama, poetry, and even fairy tales. The author notes the stories feel mythic in how childhood pains are indirectly salved through adult lives and finding the balm to your toothache. So in summary, the passages indicate the author has an appreciation for personal narratives that involve overcoming adversity, writing one's own success script, and themes of finding purpose and meaning through helping others based on lived experiences. The stories we consume can reflect our internal scripture, who we want to be, and help shape our worldview. Different genres like wisdom stories, heroic stories, life stories, and suspense stories appeal to different people. Examples are given of people's favorite stories and how they relate to their lives and work, like a chemistry professor liking mystery stories or a corporate exec enjoying espionage movies. Many stories people enjoy follow the classic hero's journey structure of triumphing over adversity. Stories of redemption, underdogs succeeding, and wrestling with how to be good are also popular. The stories we consume aren't just entertainment. Through a process of experience taking, we can take on the identities and mindsets of characters to help understand ourselves better. To understand your own purpose and motivations, you can examine the why in your favorite stories and childhood experiences to help untangle your own reasons for doing what you do. Identifying your purpose going forward is an important part of self-discovery. Brief examples are given of people articulating their sense of purpose, such as helping others or adhering to one's dignity in the face of adversity. Understanding purpose can help navigate life's challenges. Richard Miles was wrongly convicted of first-degree murder at age 19 and sentenced to life in prison, despite having an alibi and not matching the description of the shooter. He spent 17 months in jail awaiting trial. Gun residue was planted on his hands by police officers. Despite 9 out of 10 witnesses saying he wasn't the shooter, he was convicted based only on the gun residue evidence. He spent his first 5 years in prison working in harsh conditions with a strong slavery vibe. After 13 years in prison, the Innocence Organization Centurion Ministries obtained transcripts and evidence showing police had withheld information about another suspect. Richard was exonerated. After his release, Richard struggled to reintegrate due to having a criminal record. He started a nonprofit to help former inmates with reentry. Richard's wrongful conviction prompted a new state law requiring police to disclose all evidence to defendants. Richard draws inspiration from the biblical story of Joseph, who helped others after his own wrongful imprisonment, and sees helping others as his purpose after his ordeal. Here are the key details from the summary. Robin was a Cuban refugee who put herself through medical school by watching PBS and teaching herself English. Her father was a Puerto Rican immigrant who became a law professor. As a girl, Robin loved watching her father grade exams and was inspired by his intellect. She joined debate team in high school and worked a physically demanding job in a butcher shop. In college, Robin witnessed a hostage situation at a bar where the gunman held a lighter to her head. This trauma inspired her to start running as a way to cope. Robin became an elite marathon runner while also working 80-hour weeks as a corporate lawyer. She began coaching other runners on the side. Robin took a sabbatical from her law firm job to focus on fitness. She eventually had to choose between becoming a law partner or fitness guru, and chose the latter. Robin outlined 7 steps she took to make the transition, including setting aside time/money, using social media, taking a sabbatical, and making a cold call that led to a job at Peloton. Robin now has over 1 million Instagram followers as a fitness influencer and author. She encourages others to do epic shit through hard work and perseverance. The key piece of advice Robin received was affirmation from others that helped her believe in herself and continue pursuing her goals, even when facing self-doubt. Having champions who encouraged her was pivotal to her career change. The story discusses different advice and experiences people drew on during career transitions. William Faulkner famously resigned from his job as postmaster at the University of Mississippi via a colorful letter. Decades later, he was honored with a commemorative stamp for his literary achievements. People cited valuable steps like networking extensively, planning both logistically and emotionally, and boosting self-confidence. Andrew Gautier landed a new job by networking in person after spotting an opportunity online. Meroe parked and drank her way through informational meetings to build her network. Curtis Basina took advice to pivot his distillery business towards spirits from dairy byproducts. Tim Pierpont made logistical and emotional business plans to prepare for starting his own company. Lauren Nichols worked on being vulnerable, accepting failure, and finding her vocal voice to boost her confidence in a side career as a medium. Leah Smart used visualization tools like a pie chart to guide decisions and seek out opportunities aligned with her goals. The story discusses how giving oneself permission to change through embracing discomfort and listening to instincts can help navigate career transitions. Here are the key points from the passage. Aldo Leopold saw himself as embodying the American dream, growing up in late 19th century Iowa on the western edges of the eastern United States. His father was a traveling salesman who became a desk maker, and his mother was a socialite. They celebrated his birth by planting an oak tree. Living on the margins may have led Leopold to develop the concept of edge effect, the vitality that emerges where two ecological systems meet, like forest meeting pasture. Edges are places like land and water converging, or woodlands meeting plains. They have a higher diversity of species than either system alone. Leopold introduced this idea of edge effect in his influential 1930 book Game Management, earning him the title Father of Wildlife Conservation. The passage suggests the American dream is now dead but has been replaced by new, more diverse American dreams represented by people living and succeeding on the edges or margins in innovative ways. So in summary, it traces Leopold's embodiment of the traditional American dream growing up on the margins of the Midwest, and how that may have led him to conceptualize the vitality of edges, now reflected in new forms of the American dream. The passage discusses the concept of edges or margins and how they tend to be more biologically diverse areas. It cites research showing there are 3 times as many species in the ecotone, edge area, between 2 habitats compared to within either habitat individually. It then draws a connection to social margins and marginalized communities. It references the writer Gloria Watkins, bell hooks, who wrote about how those on the edge develop a unique perspective. They understand both the center and the margins. The passage advocates for centering the edge, making marginalized voices and perspectives more central to society in order to really see the full potential of that society. It presents edges/margins as places of increased diversity, life, and understanding that offer valuable insights. In summary, the passage argues that edges, both literally in terms of habitats and figuratively in terms of marginalized groups, tend to be richer, more diverse areas that provide unique perspectives. It promotes centering marginalized voices and experiences to enhance society as a whole. The text argues that traditional views of success are changing as more diverse voices enter the workforce. It proposes a new code for defining success. The first rule is that success is not achieved by climbing the career ladder but by following your own passions and dreams. It cites examples of people who pursued fulfillment through meaningful work rather than high-paying careers. The second rule is that success is collective, not individual. It cannot be achieved alone but requires community support. Examples show how people's successes depended on family, organizations, and ancestors. The third rule is that success is about finding meaning, not just making money. While wealth can be meaningful, people now define success through service, creativity, giving back, and other non-financial metrics. The fourth rule is that success is a story, not a status or destination. It is defined by one's full journey and experience, not a single achievement or position. How and where one's story ends matters more than any single accomplishment. Overall, the text argues for redefining success based on digging deeper into one's calling, relying on community, prioritizing meaning over wealth, and viewing it as a narrative journey rather than a status or position. It uses diverse voices and examples to support these new proposed rules of success. Success is not rigid or permanent, but fluid and can change at any time. Even when things seem perfect, life events like illness can disrupt plans and require reinvention. Stories of struggle, trauma, and overcoming adversity are important to share in order for all people to succeed. Hearing a diversity of lived experiences fosters understanding and community. The American dream, or definition of success, shouldn't focus narrowly on material possessions or credentials, but on each individual's ability to shape their own narrative and have it heard with empathy. Making unconventional or disagreeable choices that go against expectations can ultimately lead one to find their true purpose and passion, even if it causes initial disappointment. There is power in nonconformity and pursuing what really matters to you. The key message is that success has many forms and is an ongoing process more than an endpoint. Sharing life's challenges and defining your own path, not others' definitions, are important for personal and social progress. Unconventional choices should be embraced rather than feared. The epigraph acknowledges that unconventional decisions often cause pain to loved ones but that uncustomary choices are becoming more common and accepted. The stories being referenced seem to contain twists that go against social norms or expectations. While difficult, embracing uniqueness and individuality is portrayed as something positive that allows people to rewrite their narratives on their own terms. Instead of being defined by past hardships, people can transform struggles into creative works of self-expression. Overall, the message encourages the reader to author their own life story according to their own values rather than following prescribed rules. There is an emphasis on accepting oneself and one's choices rather than waiting for permission or the right circumstances. Framing is optimistic about increasing diversity and independence. Here is a summary of the sources provided. Frank Parsons is considered the father of vocational guidance and career counseling. He founded the first vocational guidance bureau in Boston in 1908. Arthur Mann's article in the Mississippi Valley Historical Review discusses Parsons' life and work. Other sources discuss the development and conceptualization of career counseling as influenced by Parsons. Personality tests were commonly used in vocational guidance starting in the early 20th century to match individuals to careers based on traits. Sources discuss the history and development of this approach. The concepts of white-collar work and knowledge workers emerged in the mid-20th century as more jobs involved mental labor rather than manual labor. Sources trace the history and use of these terms. Resumes became standard for job seeking in the late 19th/early 20th century. Sources discuss the historical evolution of the resume format and its use. The definition and expectations of work and jobs have changed over time. In the past, many supported themselves through varied informal labor rather than fixed jobs or careers. Sources discuss different conceptualizations of work throughout history. Sources examine concepts like hope labor, side hustles, and changing gender roles in relation to breadwinning and caregiving responsibilities. They look at how people piece together various work arrangements and responsibilities over their lifetimes. Sources examine the history of the American dream of success and social mobility through rags to riches narratives promoted in novels and self-help from the 1800s onward. They analyze the rhetoric and social impact of this conceptualization. Sources discuss reimagining work and career as having deeper meaning, purpose, and self-understanding. They introduce ideas like crafting one's job and connections to significant others/ancestors. Here is a summary of the provided text. The text discusses several quotes and sources that the author drew from in their writing. Some of the references include works by Orwell, Plath, Garcia Marquez, the Hebrew Bible, Langston Hughes, and others. Places, people and concepts mentioned include Japan, Wecht, Ludovici, Cisneros, Welty, Price, Lutwak, and remote work statistics. Quotes are attributed to Ellison, Anderson, Springsteen, Milton, and Tompkins in relation to script theory. Life events of Benjamin Abeshouse and failures of William Faulkner as a postmaster are summarized. Works referenced for additional information include the author's own books on Adam and Eve and the Council of Dads. Videos mentioned include clips from The Wizard of Oz and George Carlin. Sources are provided for information on Aldo Leonard, edge effects, and quotes from various authors including Adams, Bloom, Aldrin, and Carlin regarding the American dream. Inventors cited include Turey, Friedman, and Cerf. The conclusion discusses more quotes and doing a life story project with loved ones. I have aimed to summarize the key people, concepts and sources discussed without copying direct excerpts from copyrighted works. Please let me know if you would like me to clarify or expand on any part of the summary. Career counseling, resumes, and using the term career are discussed. Careers are seen as a path and jobs are examined. Caregiving for others is mentioned. Childhood experiences like favorite places, role models, and memories are explored in shaping work values. Choosing a vocation, personality, character, and success are connected. Climate change, cities, the Civil War, and diverse workers are briefly noted. Creativity, community, disabilities, and the importance of curiosity and invention are brought up. Decisions, mistakes, regrets, purpose, and the future are analyzed. Different jobs and industries are highlighted like farming, fishing, firefighting, fitness, and more. Entrepreneurship, the economy, emotions, and environment/places are touched on. Following your passion, bliss, and happiness even with side jobs is recommended. Generations, gender, and social movements are alluded to. Meaning, audits, causes, and change are examined. Childhood memories, favorite places, role models, and learning work values from parents are explored. The importance of character, personality, creativity, community and purpose are discussed in finding satisfaction and success.